Welcome to Rooted and Rising, the podcast that brings you unfiltered discussions with nonprofit visionaries. Together we'll uncover practical solutions and inspire connections that elevate your mission. Now here's your host, Shannon Onderko.
All right, so really excited today. We have two organizations on Rooted and Rising. We have EDDC and Radius, and we're here to talk about the importance of collaboration. So just want to do a quick introduction. Drew from EDDC, hello.
Hi.
And then we have Janessa from Radius.
Hi.
And Sean from Radius.
Hello.
So if y'all don't mind, just kind of giving quick introductions of yourselves, what you do at each organization. Drew, we can start with you.
I'm the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. And on the small business side, the owner of 500 Golf and 10th and State.
Excellent.
Sean?
The executive director of Radius CoWork. We're the city's co-working space and business incubator for freelancers, remote workers, and entrepreneurs getting started here in Erie.
And I am part of the birth of both organizations, providing technical assistance for the small businesses down here.
Excellent. So non-traditional kind of relationship y'all have going between a for-profit and nonprofit. So let's talk about how the collaboration started.
We could probably take this back like 4 years almost.
Yeah. Let's call it from a golf course.
It sounds about right. I was in Chicago, small business attorney, venture capital attorney, and was within a few months of moving to Erie, got introduced to Sean, and was part of finding, a new community where I was going to be living for professional and personal networks. And Radius was the place where I landed in Erie, and Sean was a big reason for that. Got involved pretty quickly here, and long story short, ended up in this role as the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, having already spent about 2 years working out of the Radius space, and just realized there was a huge need for small business support. The EDDC is a 3 square block area in our downtown with 24 roughly commercial spaces that we're predominantly filling with locally owned small businesses. And for me, getting my own small business up off the ground at 10th and State, I was heavily reliant on a lot of the resources that I found in the network here at Radius. So naturally was the first place I turned. And as Sean and I started talking about how we could create a more productive partnership, it really kicked off this collaborative application for funding to be able to fund a program that was intentionally geared towards helping small businesses in a way that's organic and really community forward. Making sure that those who want to take a shot and invest in a business in our downtown have the resources and the network to be able to do so efficiently and have the best chance of success. So we started going through the EDDC went through the Hagen Fellowship Program, which identified this same need and made a recommendation that we hire a small business coordinator, resource coordinator, that we go out for funding to fund the effort, and that we engage in a multi-year coordinated effort to make sure that the businesses in our footprint and beyond downtown had what they needed to succeed, with the acknowledgement that all these beautiful buildings that are being developed with an end of economic revitalization of our downtown are only going to be good towards that end if the businesses that fill those spaces are actually successful or having a chance at success.
Sure. And that's interesting because you really at the EDDC take a multifaceted approach. It's not just revitalization efforts and making it look pretty. It's also making sure that the individuals and small business owners coming in after the fact have the resources they need.
Yeah, it's crucial to being successful in that effort. And as Sean and I were kind of developing this application for funds with the Community Foundation and with others, it was pretty apparent to us that that effort was going to have to be organically community driven. Radius is really the only place in town that has that organic community. So, Sean can attest over the span of about 18 months of probably closer to 2 years of working on this, as Radius is starting to go through its own transition, we really had to zero in on, what are the outcomes that we want to see, and how how are we going to achieve those outcomes? And one of the key things that we really needed to find was human capital, people, the right person in particular that connected all of the communities that we want to have included in our revitalization effort downtown, who has the experience, the respect of the community, and Janessa was like the perfect fit for that. So when we went out to look for that person who could kind of step in and start working on this for us through Radius, it kind of came together perfectly. And yeah, we're off to the races, and Sean and Janessa can speak to more of the day-to-day as to what we're doing, but we're driving towards getting things set up in a sustainable way so that we can see these outcomes not just in the next couple of years, but well beyond.
Sure. And you're about 18 months into the project, would you say?
Oh, no. 6?
We're not talking about dating Drew. That was obviously a long-term investment.
Well,
I'm saying
Radius is 10 years old plus, but this effort, couple of years at least.
Designing it, sure.
Yeah.
Now that it's actually online, 3 to 6.
3 months.
3 months.
It's been 3 months.
Yeah.
And you had indicated, Shannon, it's an unusual partnership, but I think what we like about it is it's based in shared need. As the EDDC had built new commercial properties and brought in new entrepreneurs, those entrepreneurs needed assistance. As Radius has grown over 10 years to over 200 members with more than 65 business owners, we had outstripped our capacity to provide timely assistance.
Sure.
And so regardless of the scale of our organizations or the type of entity, we recognized there was a mutual need, and we could probably partner to address it more successfully than either of us could alone. And in fact, that would become an important foundation for the acceleration of entrepreneurial growth in the urban core. It's a victim of success, right? We had to rise and meet that need because we had created so much success as a broader Erie community at this downtown revitalization. And so now, we're able to, through Janessa is able to have a much greater impact because we found an interesting way to partner together in a way that was community focused, authentic, and embedded in the people who were going to need assistance.
So Janessa, 3 months in.
Yeah.
What have you learned so far?
I have learned that everyone's needs are truly different. And I think that's what sets this initiative aside from a lot of the other business development cohorts and technical assistants out there is we have the ability to meet people where they are and provide their assistance right then and there. Because it could range for, hey, I need a commercial retail space. I was just talking with him today. I got an email yesterday night, late. I found a spot. I really want it. There's 2 offers in. I need a commitment letter in 24 hours. And obviously Sean doesn't have the capabilities to provide that in such a short amount of time, but I do. And I think the best thing that they both did within my first 2 weeks of kind of starting within this is, hey, you need to go out and you need to meet with these people. You need to collaborate and have relationships with the banks, the lenders, the stakeholders. So it made my job a lot easier where I can call Ethan from the Redevelopment Authority within a minute and say, hey, we already have that trust. We have this collaboration. You trust me. I trust you. How quick can you get me this? So the needs range from something as quick as that to, hey, I'm at a point where I'm not growing. I can't figure out how to scale. Can you look over my numbers? Can you look over my strategic plan? Can you look over my pricing schedule, my branding model, et cetera? So the needs definitely range. That's what makes, I think, this position the most fun is I walk in every day and it's something completely different from a different business owner, from a different spot on State Street. So
are you noticing that you have entrepreneurs coming in and they have this idea that they want to implement and they don't know how to start it?
Yes. And I think so me and Sean really didn't know much about each other before getting started. And what really made me be like, yeah, I like this guy is me and him both have a common understanding that not every idea is going to be lucrative. Not every individual should be a business owner. So I always am open and listen to every single type of idea that walks through my door. But I think entrepreneurship is almost glorified in today's world. So we have to kind of take a step back to say, hey, is this plan really going to work? Is there a demand for another coffee shop on State Street?
Sure.
Probably not. So that all the needs are different. But I hear a little bit of everything.
Well, so Drew, we've talked like if you build it, they will come, right? So it sounds to me like you're handling the construction piece of it, making the buildings habitable for business, and then you're essentially building up the business owner. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's the idea. We need to accelerate the rate of provision of additional commercial spaces in our urban core. We need more places that we can activate for retail, for professional companies coming in at every scale, from the large employer doing Class A office space with a large professional workforce to a small experience retailer or restaurateur. We need to create more of that building infrastructure. But at the same time, we have to accelerate not only the rate of new entrepreneurial ventures to fill those spaces, but we have to improve the success rate. So if the environment naturally would have 3 out of 10 entrepreneurs succeed, that's a pretty rough turnover rate for commercial real estate development. If we can add resources and support that's embedded in the community, and you can get that success rate to 7 out of 10, but you can also enable, by lowering the barrier of entry, many more people to explore a venture in some new entrepreneurial a business, then you can really accelerate the rate of growth in your community. And that's both, economically effective, but it's also a much more beautiful place to live, more wonderful places to eat and businesses to visit.
Well, and I love this because talking about lowering the barrier to entry. So I see from the project, there's actually 2 different aspects of this, right? So Drew, do you want to talk about the market rate, the decreased market rate, and what you're doing with subsidizing commercial properties? I think that's important.
Yeah, so there's a general issue in Erie where redevelopment of existing real estate into something that's more usable and more, occupiable in some cases. The cost of construction, the cost to actually do that work, is far beyond what these projects will appraise for, which means you're paying more to build the building, and now you have to charge higher rents in order for those new tenants.
Mm-hmm.
That can make a bad problem worse.
Well, I was going to say, do you see new business owners coming in with a ton of capital where they're like, I have so much money to invest in a space?
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be?
Sure.
We don't. And so there are a lot of resources available here in Erie, whether it's the Redevelopment Authority or the city's revolving loan fund. There are loan funds at different banks where there's some collateral gaps that are bridged by Erie Insurance and others who could step up and allow loans that otherwise wouldn't happen to take place. And it's one thing for a loan that otherwise shouldn't happen to be funded, but to be funded at an interest rate that's actually affordable and not predatory is extremely important in this community because communities like this are targets for that kind of behavior and business practice. So what we're doing is making sure that in all of our efforts, we're partnering with organizations that have a community mission attached to them. So that does a couple of things. One, it aligns leadership within the community towards shared interests. But 2, it allows us to go after certain sources of funding that can reduce the cost of capital in a given project. For instance, if we look at this flagship commons project that we're building right between North Park Row and 5th Street, that project is going to have capital coming from like 8 different sources. And a number of different grants that we're applying for are in collaboration with other community mission-oriented not-for-profits that will then be able to sublet that space at costs that are affordable to small businesses in this community. That's going to allow us to bring in tenants at rates that they can afford and not put them in a situation where they're set up to fail.
Sure.
And, one of the reasons to turn this back to you a little bit, why it's nice to work with Shannon is because Shannon is not just working with the EDDC, but she's working with other aligned community organizations. So there's a wider lens through which you can write a grant if you understand what's going on in the periphery around the exact project that you're actually focused on, which means you can start to tie in those things that other people can't see. And when state, federal, foundation funders see those things, where their mind goes, at least to the extent that I'm being told. So like, okay, these people are working together and I'm going to get one ask from these 2 or 3 institutions. I'm not going to get 3 separate asks with overlapping missions.
Sure.
that makes them far more likely to fund these types of efforts. It allows us to be potentially more successful and efficient in getting things off the ground in a way where the small local businesses that are the ones that truly turn our economic revitalization flywheel can get a foothold and be successful in the long term.
So in addition to subsidizing rent, the collaboration with Radius is also providing subsidized technical support. Would you like to talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, I think technical support is really key because, like I said before, it meets people exactly where they're at. So it ranges in exactly what they need. But I'm grateful to be able to provide the technical support or outsource it. So obviously, if someone comes to me with an idea, I don't have the ability to write 50 business plans in one day. So we really utilize other organizations, just honing in on that collaboration, like in an SBDC, or sending them over to the Beehive for a marketing plan or a branding outline. So kind of working with all of the other organizations that have shared missions helps do my job and go a little bit easier. But it also helps the business owner now be able to get a full range of everything that they need. They not only get that, but they also learn something throughout the way. Because a big component of what I always say is, I'm not just going to do it for you. I'm going to teach you how to do it, how to amend it, so you can be successful long. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, right, you're able to carry on with or without me.
Janessa, could you contextualize exactly what that technical assistance is? Like, what is the specific impact you're having, and how is that both the expertise and the financial assistance?
Yeah, so my background is finance. So I would say the majority of projects that I definitely want to do in-house is financial projections. And because I think in what I'm noticing from the lenders kind of coming out of COVID is they want projections to be conservative. It has to be realistic. And I think it's not just being done. So I would say it's a lot of that, but it's also, in my role before this, it was mainly financial. But I think as I meet with the business owners, especially within Radius, right, they are already standing. They do their own bookkeeping. They do their own financials. So they don't need too much of financial assistance, but what they need is strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a lot of, how do I get people through the door? Sometimes it's, paying attention to trends. Well, are you paying attention to trends? Do we need to look at your social media marketing? Do we need to look at your financials? Because I always try to tell people not everything is a profit and loss issue. Sometimes it's not in the expenses. Sometimes it's not in the income. You can be profitable, but have a cash flow issue where there's $0 in the bank account, right? So anyone that walks through my door, I always ask for financials, whether I'm going to handle it further or not. But it really tells you the story: balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow statement. Those three statements are the most powerful outline of how your business is doing. And unfortunately, this is not taught in school. So although they have the ability to generate and print the report, they don't know how to read it.
Sure.
So I read it for them. I give them the feedback. I tell them the issues. And then I say, hey, if I don't have the capacity at this time, this individual from this organization can help you here. So yeah, I would say that's mostly.
So back to my comment about saying the relationship is unique. It really is, because if you're thinking about even within the Radius community about having the opportunity to scale, so Janessa's meeting potentially a new business owner. She doesn't have the resources to be able to support that individual at the moment. So then you have 200 other resources that we can keep subsidize services and support another small business at the same time.
Yeah, that's an important part of what authentic economic development among entrepreneurial ecosystems kind of requires. So among the Radius members, we have attorneys, both intellectual property, business law, real estate. We have accountants and bookkeepers, personal financial advisors. We have people who do home inspections and real estate, both commercial and residential, people who work on the construction side or on the renting side. We've got people who are in SaaS software companies and people who are serving a purely local market as a doula. Every kind of expertise you'd expect in a thriving, growing ecosystem kind of intersects in the co-working community. But that means we work with them for 6 months, 6 years. We've got one member who's been here since the founding more than 10 years ago. We learn their expertise. We know what kind of jobs are appropriate for them. We know their capacity. We're helping them grow their bookkeeping business while also being able to tap them as a bookkeeper for the other entrepreneurs that we're assisting who need that expertise. And we sit in the nexus of all of those capabilities. So it's very easy to connect those people with each other as peers.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about the flagship project as well, just want to kind of highlight the food hall. If you just give a quick synopsis of that.
So the food hall is an experiment in creating opportunities for food service entrepreneurs, set up as an incubator for new businesses to try to give brick and mortar a shot.
Mm-hmm.
We bring in food truck operators. We have people that have been selling out of their kitchen or have never run a restaurant before at all. And we pay for all their equipment, their utilities. We pay for janitorial service, security, property taxes, insurance, and their point of sale system.
Mm-hmm.
We assist them with marketing for free. We put on events in the food hall to drive traffic. And for that, we have generally a variable rent component that is charged back to the tenant, so that they're paying out of revenues received and not some fixed rate that's unaffordable.
Yeah. And it's similar to what you've done with the Radius model, right? Is creating a co-working space that the fee is reasonably priced and allowing... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, both these models lower the barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
So by the food hall providing not only a space, a physical square footage, but also the kitchen equipment and the marketing and rolling that all into one fee, it allows an emerging restaurateur to validate their recipes, their prices, build a customer base, figure out their brand before they graduate to an independent location. We kind of do the same thing. We lower the barrier of entry. So it's about taking what might be a $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 expense to commit to a commercial lease, furnish the office, get your utilities, your insurances, your printer, your coffee pot, down to a $100 a month subscription. All you need is the $100 and you can show up for that first month. And all you have to be able to do is pay the next month's $100. As you add headcount, you add memberships, you can grow until, once again, you've proven the business and now you can get your own commercial space. These kinds of structures that allow people to come together and share resources really do open up the potential for people to have life transforming, not just an experience, but financially, changes to their lives, to their professional growth.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the small business initiative, so the project that is going on right now, and we have, another year, I think, with this grant. How do you see it going forward? What's next?
You want to go? You want me?
The best part about this is that I don't have to answer this question.
Well, do you notice I was like, what's next?
Yeah, so I see the sky's the limit. I think the first thing we really had to focus on, aside from partnering and collaborating, is data collection. I think it's a very key part. And I'm working with some pretty smart individuals. We have a good system in place. I think it could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking a lot of qualitative, not so much quantitative. So I really want to perfect that because I want to make sure that the initiative that they have worked years on is impactful on this community. So I really want to focus on making sure that that is perfect, and we're tracking that in the right ways. But I think as there's so much economic development that's coming to Erie, so much dollars from so many different initiatives and tax and options and grants and loans, and everyone's coming out. There's new CDFIs popping up tomorrow and the next week. So I think it's really lowering the barriers, I think, as we've kind of talked about today. And I just hope I can continue to be a catalyst and put people in places where they can receive help. Of course, I am their advisor, right? I am there with them, but I can't write their loan. I can't maybe give them a grant for their equipment, but I can direct them to someplace or someone that can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they made it the business support coordinator. And the coordinator part is something that's very new to me, but I think it's so much more effective because there's so many resources in Erie. It's like, well, where do I go? Well, go to Janessa. She will tell you where your next step is after meeting with her.
Mm-hmm.
to give a little bit of a broader picture, because that's exactly right. We're refining the role. We're also expanding it. We do have to build tracking, which is something we hadn't done within Radius before. We didn't have to. Everything was organic. Now we're expanding and professionalizing a little more of our service. So we expect in the coming year to relocate and expand our facility. We've really been constrained by our ability to meet the need with the resources we had. Now that we have new resources and new capacities, we can expand to meet new needs, adding perhaps retail incubation, inventory support, other kinds of cost sharing that enable new people to come onto the field. We also plan to expand the ways in which we provide financial technical assistance. There'll be more about that coming out in the coming months, but access to immediate capital is a really big pain point for a lot of small businesses. And we're not even talking about really large scale, hundreds of $1,000s of a level of capital. It's the $15,000 ice machine that I actually need to replace today because I need ice to run my business. And I can't wait 6 to 8 weeks for a loan to be approved, even from some of the community financing institutions. And so we're going to build some interesting solutions, both in the physical space, the technical services from our business support coordinator, possibly multiple business support coordinators in the near future. And we're going to start addressing some of the capital needs. And of course, that's all going to come along with a lot of expanded educational programming. So yeah, quite a bit.
And to even widen the lens a little further, one of the reasons that I thought the EDC should be involved in this in the first place, because I think any number of organizations could have stepped up to work with Radius to work on this project. Because we kind of sit in the center of the community as a first mover in economic development. And between the three of us and several others in here, we have, and you too, Shannon, we have a lot of good relationships with other community organizations that are contributing towards solutions of the same problem that we're trying to solve. So in identifying a new space, co-locating with those organizations, and if not co-locating, continuing and strengthening that collaboration is a big thing. So from ECRA to the ECRDA, in the city's revolving loan fund and the CRIZ and the Erie Downtown Partnership and the other organizations that are in the mix with us, making sure that that the EDDC provides enough of a catalytic support to make sure that everybody is really aligned and working together, same place or not. And our collaborative grant applications are strengthening that even more. So in this community, we've got a lot of new leaders at the heads of those organizations. There's the zero-sum mentality is disappearing day by day throughout leadership across these institutions. And it makes me really excited for what we can all accomplish together working in the future.
Yeah. So I just want to thank y'all because honestly, you've shown something that hasn't been done before and made it less scary. Because I think that was what folks were intimidated by is, okay, if I'm going in as a co-applicant on a grant, then they're worried about the sustainability of their organization. And I think y'all as a team have proven out that there's actually a significant benefit to that. So thanks for taking the leap on that.
Thanks for helping us get there, Shannon.
Yeah. Well, it's about me.
Yeah.
It's about me, you know. All right. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.